There is an opinion that Japan is experiencing a surge of love for humanoid robots. That is, androids. This love seems so strong that it is ready to forgive flaws and shortcomings to endow robots with features that are not inherent in them. Even a little creepy. You probably thought, so what? But here's the thing. Japan's fascination with creepy robots points us to a possible future. Not only for Japan, but for the whole world, including the place where you live now. The definition of what constitutes a creepy robot takes us straight to Japan. First of all, it is worth touching upon the concept of the Sinister Valley, which was first mentioned by Japanese robotics professor Masahiro Mori in 1970. It concerns the relationship between how much a robot's actions resemble human ones and how we see them. The more a robot looks like a human, the more positively we react, until they start acting and looking exactly like us. Then our level of empathy and acceptance drops and gives way to disgust. As robots become even more like humans, our acceptance and empathy are rapidly rising again. In other words, we feel sympathy and empathy for the Abo robot dog, even more for the Pepper and Asimo robots, until we encounter a humanoid android at all, among which are the most advanced robots today. And here, the most interesting thing begins. It seems that there is no clear answer to the question of which robots live in the Sinister Valley, as well as how Japanese robots differ from those living in other countries. To understand what we are talking about, just look at several modern examples of robots in Japan. One of them is Aiko Chihira from Toshiba, who works as a receptionist in Tokyo department store. Another example comes from Dr. Yoshio Matsumoto and his team at iUsed. They conducted the test by placing the android twins Actroid F in the doctor's office to support patients during consultations. The result was that patients generally felt that their doctor was more sympathetic and understood better what they were saying, and generally felt less anxiety when an android was in the room with them. If you live outside Japan, you most likely find the robots above slightly creepy. One of the reasons for the difference in reactions may be the cultural and religious difference between Japan and the West. Photographer Louise Witten explored the world of Japanese robots in her project. What about the heart? As part of the project, she talked to several Japanese roboticists about how robots are viewed in their country. Professor Minoru Asada from Osaka University replied as follows: "In Buddhism or animism, everything has a spiritual aspect, even machines. Machines are not created to fight. We see partners or family members in cars. Therefore, we have no intention to create like God. We just don't think so. We are thinking about how to create a partner." In a 1982 article in the New York Times, Henry Scott Stokes perfectly expressed the expression of this in the real life of the Japanese. He described that new industrial robots in Japan are often first consecrated by Shinto priests, followed by a burst of applause from employees greeting the new member of the team. Usually, Stokes wrote, workers greeted robots at the beginning of the working day by saying, "Oh hey ho, gozaimasu." These differences are also reflected in modern media. Post-war Japan got acquainted with androids, thanks to the Star Boy, a small and useful robot boy. The Western world has received a Terminator in the person of Arnold Schwarzenegger. What does science say about the Japanese love of robots, even creepy ones? Although the study of the Sinister Valley has only gained momentum in recent years, the effect of culture and nationality on people's perception of robots has remained relatively untouched. At the same time, there's no clear scientific understanding of which robots belong to the Sinister Valley and which do not. Research on this topic has come to different conclusions. Some say that culture has a great influence and that the Japanese have more sympathy for robots than most people. Others point out that the Japanese actually have no more attachment to robots than anyone else. What these studies agree on is that communication with robots plays a big role in how people perceive them, and that the Japanese are ahead of the planet in this regard. Constant communication with robots, one can assume, is one of the pieces of the puzzle. Why the Japanese generally perceive robots easier, even creepy ones? Those living in Tokyo encounter robots all the time, not to mention other types of automated systems. It is safe to say that Japan encounters robots more often than people do in other countries. And although it is unknown whether robots are viewed more positively there, the fact remains that Japan is deploying robots for a variety of tasks. This initiative, in fact, will help to revive the Japanese economy. So the government believes robots are used in the field of healthcare and elderly care. It is noteworthy that elderly people, not wanting to distract the staff, sometimes talk with robots with pleasure. Professor Asada summarizes this trend. I think that in Western countries, older people don't like to let cars into their lives. For example, many years ago, Panasonic developed a robot in the form of a pet to measure the temperature of elderly people. The reaction of the people of the Western world was like this: "We don't want to be measured by machines. Get out." Japanese oldies would say, "Oh, very nice." Japanese society is easier to accept robots as they age. Japan is aging fast, but the same is true for many parts of the rest of the world. The phrase "the burden of old age" applies exactly as much to most politicians as the word "bubble" applies to Silicon Valley investors. The shortage of workers will hit many countries in the coming years, affecting many segments, including healthcare and care for the elderly. In many cases, the reaction can be simple. Go away when an elderly person is faced with the prospect of a robot caring for him or interacting with a machine to one degree or another. But gradually, this threshold should decrease, and with it, the threshold of the robot's entry into the ominous valley. Because if the sinister valley depends on historical and cultural phenomena, then everything passes. History and culture are changing. We are starting to encounter robots more and more. Eventually, we will all be there. In addition, the Japanese integrate robots into many areas in which different cultures would not like to see them. But along with success directly in Japan, people all over the world can follow the example of the Japanese. It turns out that love and dislike for robots is just a matter of time. Having been with them for a little longer, you realize that they are not so creepy. Azumo is one of the best robots used in Japan, thanks to advances in robotics and automation. This mobile robot is an advanced humanoid robot with a height of 4 feet 3 inches and a weight of 52 kgs and a weight of 52. It can work both from the workstation and from remote control via the remote control. Man is Japan's first robot designed to lift and carry elderly people according to their needs. It was developed by the Riken Biomimetic Management Research Center. This robot is able to see, smell, and hear. Key functions for recognizing emergencies in nursing home. Pero is a cute and fluffy seal robot that demonstrates the progress of robotics in Japan. Automation helped model the Canadian Greenland seal from the National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology. It can blink at people with its robotic eyelashes, move its tail, and is used in nursing facilities. Thanks for attention. Put likes, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the bell.